All please sit down. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Manatee County School Board for June 11, 2009. Will you now join with Board Member Golden leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Board Member Golden. The chair has found good cause to amend the agenda to include all items listed under agenda amendments on the June 11, 2019 agenda, updated June 10, 2019, and posted to the district website. Under new business item number 9, approval of the revised audit committee and financial. Let's see. I'm sorry. Can the clerk come over here a minute?
So in addition to these,
Okay.
you're going to also pull new
Okay.
business item.
Okay. In addition to what I just said, I'm pulling from the agenda approval of the revised audit committee and the revised Citizens Financial Oversight Committee charters. I am pulling that from the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended
So
with these
moved as
approvals?
amended, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, it's been moved by Board Member Hopes and seconded by Board Member Kennedy. Discussion, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It is unanimous. We go on to public comments with our Vice Chair, Gina Messinger.
Okay. Public comment is not an open forum to discuss matters unrelated to education, to support or oppose candidates for public office, or to engage in commercial speech attempting to sell a service or product to the school board or public. Also, public comment is not an open forum to attack individual school system employees or board members. Any such complaints should be submitted in writing to the superintendent for appropriate handling. Finally, this is not a forum for addressing issues involving individual students. Because of privacy concerns, such issues should be submitted in writing to the superintendent for appropriate handling. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the board. Speakers must stand at the podium and not approach the dais. If a speaker has a handout to present to the board, those may be given to the agency clerk for distribution. This is a business meeting of the school board, and the public expects that we conduct it in an orderly, efficient, effective, and dignified manner. We request that speakers keep this in mind when making your comments. We also request that the audience keep that in mind and not demonstrate approval or disapproval of what a speaker has said by clapping or booing. The board appreciates the public input and will listen attentively, consider each comment, and usually will not respond, enter into debate, or answer questions during comments on agenda items or during the public comment section. And with that, I have 2 people sign up for public comments. I also have other people that have signed up to talk about the specific naming of the buildings. When those items come up, I'll call those names. This is just for the beginning public comment section. And with that, I will start with Katie Pearson. And after Katie Pearson is Becky Canese. Is Katie here? Okay, Becky, come on down.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board, Superintendent Saunders. Thank you again for all of the hard work that you're doing. We expected the contract for Just for Girls to be coming before you tonight, and it looks like it's been delayed and will be coming before you on the 25th of June. That is the last board meeting of the year, and we've been fighting hard for the students this year that we serve and that are served by the alternative education programs under the district's authority in these contracts that you provide. It's not too late to level the playing field for these students. When we supported the millage, we complied with it. We attended meetings at the district, and the formulas were published. We read the resolution. We discussed it at my board of directors meeting. And the facts were real clear and simple in our view, that we would extend the instructional time and after-school tutoring, and we would increase the wages to provide a competitive wage so that we could recruit and retain instructional staff. That is aligned with the language of the ballot, and it aligns with the resolution for the district. We also had the same concerns that the district had in putting that resolution together, where the district said that without the millage, the district, and you could replace that with we, Just for Girls is part of the district's dropout prevention program for alternative education. Without the millage, your resolution states the district will face a revenue shortfall threatening academic programs and positions. When Just for Girls authorized the pay increases, it was just under $100,000. We calculated additionally the cost of the extended day, aligned with the district's formulas. We used our line of credit because we don't have an extra $100,000 available. So much of our funding is restricted. For the academic programs, we need to provide the services that the FTE allows. And we are doing that under the trust that you would recognize the facts. We are part of the district. This aligns with the millage. It's appropriate and fair, and to not approve it or authorize it would be unfair to the students that are most at risk of dropping out. And if you can't do it for all the contracted sites, you might consider doing it for Just for Girls, because I don't know if any of the others have aligned with the millage on their wages and with their extended day. We are doing that, and I worry about the risk of the program being cut or positions being lost for this very, very worthy alternative education program that is under your authorization.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One last call for Katie Pearson. Okay, like I said, I'll call up the other people that have signed up when those items come up. So that concludes public comment.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Gina Messenger. Well done. Next item on our agenda is the consent items. Is there a motion to approve? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, and I stand corrected. Thank you, Clerk. The superintendent, does the superintendent have a recommendation concerning approval of the minutes?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the minutes from May 28th, 2019 workshop and regular meeting and public hearing.
So moved.
It's been moved by Board Member Kennedy to approve. Is there a second?
A second.
It's seconded by Vice Chair Messenger. Is there discussion? The chair hearing none. The chair calls the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The record reflects a unanimous approval. We go on to the consent agenda now. Consent items. Is there a recommendation from the superintendent?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the consent agenda for June 11th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Board Member Kennedy and seconded by Vice Chair Messenger to approve the superintendent's recommendation. Is there discussion? The chair hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay? It's unanimous, 5-0. Okay, thank you. Next item of business is old business. Let's see. Is adoption of new policy and amendments to the current school board policies. Is there, we've had a workshop on it this afternoon. We've had the opportunity to have public comment about that. We've heard from staff. There are great things going on. And there is new policies being put in effect. Is there a motion to adopt and approve the new policy amendments to the current school board policies? We're having a hearing? Okay.
I just want to make sure that I'm clear on what we're voting on.
This is the.
This is what was voted on at the last board meeting. This is not what was discussed at the workshop,
Okay.
correct?
I think you're correct. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I understand what I'm voting on.
Okay, I misspoke. I apologize. Okay, is there a motion to approve adoption of the new policy and amendments to the current school board policy?
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Board Member Kennedy, seconded by Board Member Hopes. Is there discussion? The chair hearing none will call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. It passes unanimously. There were no nay votes. Under new business, does the superintendent have a recommendation regarding approval to name the PSC Building 2 the Jerry M. Parker Television Operations Center? And first of all, is there any public comments that are signed up on this matter?
Yes, there is, but I think it's usually done after the recommendation and motion.
Okay, well, let's get a recommendation. Okay.
Yes, I recommend the approval to name Building 2 of the Professional Support Center the Jerry M. Parker Television Operation Center.
Okay.
So moved.
It's been moved by Board Member Gina Messenger. Is there a second? Seconded by Board Member Hopes. Okay, is there public comment still? Okay.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Bob Eichenberg, and after Bob will be Susan Franco.
Hello, my name is Bob Eichberg. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, school board members, and superintendent. I haven't been up in front of the school board in decades, but that's another story. My name is Bob Eichenberg. I was the media specialist at Southeast High School from 1971 to 2006. I was the first media specialist to start an accredited course for television production in the county. I also was lucky enough that we had a grant from for Southeast, and I also had a state-of-the-art television production studio created. I can use those I's all I want to, but I know it was not just I. Jerry Parker was a major influence and in help with me on those productions and suggestions and selections of what I should have in that studio. He was an unusually kind man. He was the most self-effacing person I've ever met. He would give you help, but would not take credit. He would tell you, or he would more suggest you than tell you what he needed and how to do it, and he would. One of my last memories of him was showing me the new studio at building number 2. And I can remember to this day his enthusiasm and his optimism about what this county could do. I think it would be an honor to have that building named after him. I think it's an honor to name support personnel, because they are the most unrecognized group in the county. And I would not have ever got the success I had without them. So I highly recommend the board do this. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, you remember when there were studios over at the IMC building?
Yeah, oh gosh, yes.
And that's what you're comparing them to.
Yes, it was, and he was proud of that. He made it work. You know, I started in the back room, so I know what the progress was. I'm a dinosaur who watched the transformation. The program at Southeast now is a nationally recognized program, so I'm proud to have started it.
Thank you for your enormous contribution. Okay. Any others? Okay.
Susan Franco.
Okay. Hi.
Chairman and board members and superintendent, I come before you again to Lord about Jerry. He was the one that got you on television. He was active in that department. We worked hard. We all worked back in that back room with no windows and brought you before the community and let the community see what you could do for them. Jerry was instrumental in getting television studios in all the schools out there and working with Encore in Tampa to make it happen. He was instrumental in the ITFS that went out to all the schools. He and Steve and Nick worked endlessly to get all this done. And I think it would be a great honor for his family to know that the school system appreciated him and all the hours he gave over and above what he was paid for. And it just seemed to never end. He never got tired of doing and helping. And I think this would be a great honor, and I hope that you vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. And those are the two I have signed up for this item.
Okay, thank you very much, Vice Chair Messenger. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We've had public comment. Is there any further discussion? Board Member Kennedy.
Thanks. Mr. Minor, I would actually like to make a motion to postpone this to the July 23rd meeting. And it's not because I think this is a bad idea. I think this is a great idea. But the timing is interesting to me because we have, in our next batch of policies that we're going to update, includes policy 7250, which is the policy that covers the naming of facilities. And what that new policy update will do is it creates kind of a multi-step process of naming any school facility. And because what we have right now is somebody comes up, makes the recommendation, or makes the ask of the board, and then usually by the next meeting, at least the way it's happened with the past few, is then it just comes up and here we are. And so what the new policy does, it just creates, I should have it up in front of me, I'm sorry I don't, but just some initial contact with the school advisory committee, a community group. It just makes that process a little bit longer. So that is the reason for my motion to postpone. Again, it's not because I want to stand in the way of naming either two of these facilities. I think they're both great ideas. But I just thought the timing was interesting because here we've got two, but we've got a policy change in the works right now. And at that July 23rd meeting, we'll approve that policy change, and then we could also approve these two names. Now, granted, if my understanding, and you all can help me through this, my understanding would be is that if we as a board do what I'm suggesting, that would require that these two facilities go through that new process, because we'll approve the policy and then these two items will come up as old business. And then just the other way to look at this is that we approve these tonight, and then going forward, any facilities going forward, I'm not going to die on this hill. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. I just thought it was interesting that here we are naming two facilities when we've got a policy change kind of in the pipeline coming up. So it's just that is my motion to postpone until July 23rd.
The chair's position, and I will ask our legal counsel to correct me if I'm wrong, is that your motion is out of order. We have pending right now a motion to approve this matter, and it has been seconded. You have your comments could be taken as a reason to vote against it, I guess. But I don't think that making a motion at this point is consistent with our policies and the...
I think it just dies for lack of a second, Mr.
Yeah, and it dies for lack of a second, so...
Mr. Chair, the motion is proper, but it does need a second, and then
Okay.
to be voted on. If it doesn't get a second, then the main motion still stands.
Okay, well, then I'm corrected. All right, it's died for a second. And is there any other... okay. Board Vice Chair Messenger.
I've heard nothing but great things about Jerry. I don't know if I am, anybody that puts me on TV, I don't really know if that deserves anything. But certainly he did things that benefited the students, so I agree with that. When it comes to postponing these, I don't really feel like that's fair to the public that has followed the policy that exists. I don't think anyone that came up and put forward these names knew there was going to be a policy change. I mean, I didn't know that until I looked at the agenda and saw that for this meeting that we're going to do that in the future. And I read through the changes, and I think a lot of them are valid things that we should discuss and talk about. But I just don't think that that would necessarily be fair to the people that have come forward prior to this, and just to change the rules on them midstream, you know. I think that would not really be a fair thing to do. So I appreciate what your goal, but I just don't think that's a fair thing to do.
Okay, Board Member Golden.
Mr. Chair, call the question.
Okay,
Can I say one thing real quick?
I guess, sir. Okay, go ahead, Board Member.
Thank you. This comment will take shorter than that awkward pause. I just want to, Mr. Eichenberg is exactly right. I think it's good that we are naming facilities after support employees. You know, we name things after board members and longtime school district leaders, but this is a good thing. And by the way, if you were not aware, Mr. Eichenberg's name is on the media center at Southeast High School. So I just wanted to, while he's in the room, it's nice to meet you in person, sir.
Okay.
Sorry for the delay, Mr. Chair. You can take it
No,
from
okay.
here.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion and the matter has been called, we'll have a vote. All those in favor of approving the motion to name PSC Building 2 the Jerry M. Parker Television Operations Center that's been recommended by the superintendent, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. It passes unanimously. Congratulations. Next item of business, does the superintendent have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval to name Parish Community High School Auditorium the William A. Budd Gillett Jr. Auditorium.
So moved.
A second.
Okay, the superintendent's recommendation has been moved by Vice Chair Messenger and seconded by, or been moved by Board Member Kennedy and seconded by Vice Chair Messenger. Is there discussion?
There's public comment.
Public comment?
I got Norma Kennedy and Brenda Rogers.
Mrs. Kennedy?
We're not talking about the city of Parrish this time. First of all, I want to thank you guys for the thinking out of the box that I heard in the workshop. What a breath of fresh air and what motivation it is going to be for the teachers. It's unbelievable. So, thank you for that. But why I'm here and why I'm up here to talk is I am speaking for the PCA and the Gillett family. Bud prayed in this room many a times for this school board. He was a prominent preacher of Manatee County and in Palmetto, and Parrish is still working with Palmetto. So we want to give him the honor of having this auditorium named after him. He was born and raised in Parrish along with his family, and I just would love for you to consider giving the name of the auditorium to William Budd Gillett Jr. Thank you. I also have petitions here, which I will turn over to her, that were signed, and there's 286 out of the community that also feel the same way. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come on down.
Mr. Chairman, board members, my item is sort of, it's different. I probably should have been under comments. It's about naming the agriculture facility
Oh, okay.
for somebody else. So do you want me to go now, or you want to do this?
Sure. I mean, since it got placed in a different place,
Okay, all right.
Whoa.
is that okay? I was told
That's-
it was under this item, but it sounds like it was supposed to be under public comment in the beginning.
Okay, let's, well, I guess it's not on the agenda for action by this board. Am I missing something, or?
No, what she's saying is that she signed up for public comment and she got placed under this item. And she should have been perhaps placed under public comment section.
Right.
And so she would like to just make her general public comment.
Is
Since
she a nice lady?
she seems like a nice lady.
Well, okay, let's let her,
Mr. Chair?
yeah.
You may want to go ahead and vote on
Yeah.
Bud's.
Yeah, let's vote on Bud's,
Have the lady come back up after that.
Is that
Okay.
okay with you? Okay, thank you
Okay.
for your patience.
because she's a nice lady, okay.
See? Confirmed. She's
Okay.
a nice lady.
Okay, is there no, any further discussion? The chair will call the question. All those in favor of the motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. It passes unanimously. Now we're gonna, I guess call it chair's prerogative. Why don't you come up and share
I
your...
apologize.
It was close, but not quite the same. My name's Brenda Rogers, and for over 30 years, I've worked as part of the agriculture and civic community in Manatee County. Prior to my employment, I was raised on a Manatee County dairy farm and was active in the local 4-H program. I'm here today because the Parish Civic Association has submitted an application to have the Ag Learning Lab Agriculture Department at the new Parish Community High School named in honor of Travis Seawright. I was asked to speak representing the association and his family. I prepared a packet of information for each of you that highlights other aspects of his career and his contributions. And as you read, please keep in mind that the true accomplishments of Travis Seawright are revealed through the accomplishments of Manatee County youth who grew into adults like me. I've had the unique opportunity to experience Mr. Seawright's kindness, his patience, and his knowledge as a youth, as a colleague, and as his supervisor. Travis started his Florida career as an agriculture teacher at Southeast High School, and in 1975 he was appointed the Manatee County Agriculture Extension Agent. That's when he became the teacher of all of Manatee County. Over the 30 years he served as the extension agent, Travis brought research-based science to the local agriculture community through lectures, field demonstrations, and expertise. He assisted many agriculture businesses. He was often consulted by other extension agents in other Florida counties and throughout the southeastern United States. He was a legend in the profession. His love, however, was working with children. There's probably not an agriculture student, FFA member, or 4-H club member that grew up through the mid-'70s till the mid-2010s who did not benefit from knowing Travis and learning from him. In fact, until he became ill a few months before his death, he was active as a volunteer in the youth-related educational activities that are part of the Manatee County Fair. I know that for several years after his retirement, local farmers and ranchers would show up at his house for guidance and advice on issues impacting their business. I even told him one time that he could say, "No, I'm retired," and he told me that he would help anyone, anytime. Travis had knowledge and expertise in multiple agricultural subject areas. These included horticulture, citrus, vegetable production, livestock, and dairy. Many of these areas now have subject matter specialists that address them through extension in Manatee County. Richard Alberg, who was the county extension director who hired both Travis and me, stated on many occasions that he had never received a single negative comment regarding Travis or his performance as an employee. And I can say that was the same was true during the years that I served in that position. In summary, Travis Seawright was a humble, quiet man who served this community and beyond with heart, with passion, and with knowledge beyond the subjects that he studied in formal education. His reach made a difference in the lives of everyday people and influenced policymakers. We learned about ag, we learned about life skills focused on treating others with respect, sharing what you know and what you have with those in need. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, now, would it be appropriate that we consider putting that on the agenda for our next meeting? I guess we'll just try to remember to do that. Okay. Thank you very, very much. Okay. We have, the next item of business is approval of the budget amendments for April 2019. Superintendent, does she have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the budget amendments for April 2019.
Is there a motion to approve? Okay, I guess it's been moved by Vice Chair Messenger and seconded by Board Member Kennedy. Is there discussion? Okay, Vice Chair Messenger, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just had one comment. It's the same comment I made to the superintendent when I met with her at the board briefing, is that I would really was happy to read and see that that staff kind of decided and management decided to put a lot of the capital outlay projects on hold and to really, look at and thoughtfully decide how to spend the capital dollars, depending on the facilities assessment that we have and we're still working on looking through. And so I just wanted to say thank you. I appreciate that. I feel like that's very thoughtfully done.
Okay. Other comments? Chair hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor of approving under new business, item number 1, recommended by the superintendent and moved by Vice Chair Messenger and seconded by Board Member Kennedy, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Next item is approval of the year-to-date financial statements through,
I am sorry, can I ask one question?
sure.
I'm having people from the audience saying that we did not vote officially on the naming of the auditorium. Was there an official vote on that?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. I thought there was, but
I was doing public comment and doing the vote.
it just didn't show up on there.
Yes, so it might not have shown up out there, but yes, you did vote.
If officially it was a 5-0 vote, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, we're back to item number 2, under new business, non-consent items. Does the superintendent have a recommendation concerning approval of the year-to-date financial statements through April 30, 2019?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the year-to-date financial statements through April 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by,
Sorry,
okay,
I
it's,
meant to vote.
okay, I believe it was moved by the Board Member Kennedy and seconded by Board Member Hopes to approve the recommendation. All those, is there discussion? The chair hearing none will call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously, 5-0. Next item is approval of revised 2019-2020 academic calendar. Does the superintendent have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the revised 2019-2020 academic calendar.
Thank you. Is there a motion to? So moved by Board Member Kennedy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Messenger. Is there any discussion? Okay, Board Member Hopes.
I have a question because I noticed that this year the Sarasota schools ended their school year prior to the Memorial weekend holiday, and our students came back for like 3 half days. And I understand that was a testing issue, but how is it that they can structure their calendar so that once the students leave for Memorial weekend, they don't come back yet, and they have the same testing that we have, yet somehow we're bringing students back for 3 half days. So we're running buses for those half days. I'm just wondering why we can't have a calendar where the students end their school year before the Memorial weekend holiday, like neighboring districts.
Okay. Board Member Kennedy.
Thank you, sir. Superintendent can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that since we have 4 record days after each quarter, academic quarter, which is a teacher work day but a student off day, is the reason we have that, and then we would have to negotiate that to get those days back.
Okay. Madam Superintendent, do you have some comments?
Every district has to have 180 student days. No matter how you define it, everyone has 180 days. The state defines your start date. They don't define your end date. So it's all about how the committee chooses to have non-student days or holidays that differ. So, the committee can always recommend differing things. And part of it could be, those days could be different. A week off at Thanksgiving could be different, how we end up having some certain holidays off, but everyone does 180 days.
For follow-up,
Okay, Board Member Hopes.
do we have a drop in attendance in the days after the Memorial Weekend holiday?
I can tell you, if you're speaking predominantly of secondary, you do not, because exams equate to 20% of their overall grade.
For the other,
For elementary, I would have to look at that. I don't have that information right offhand. But for secondary, I can tell you, you don't.
Okay, Board Member Golden.
Yes. Madam Chair, I'm sorry, Madam Superintendent, could you, off the top of your head, share with us what would be required to eliminate the need for our children to come back after Memorial Day? I think that's the real issue.
Sure.
Yes. Can you,
We would have to go back into the calendar and elect to eliminate 3 other days that we are not attending school to substitute for the differential. So if we want to end 3 days earlier, we've got to go to school 3 other days that we've chosen not to. You could reduce Christmas vacation, you could reduce some of the time off for Thanksgiving, other known holidays, but you just have to pick 3 other days that we've chosen to be off, not to be off.
and your recommendation to us tonight is that we adopt this calendar?
The only change we made in this calendar was we changed the offering of when spring break occurs, because when the board adopted the calendar, it was before the state testing calendar came out. We now know that that window is short. We cannot afford to have any testing going on when we are off. So the days returning or whatever part of that had already been decided. And a committee is made up that brings it to the board. But we certainly can, in the future, take that into consideration and make sure that we try to bring options where we're ending before Memorial Day.
yeah, we, Mr. Chairman?
Okay, Board Member Hopes.
Because I think last year we did have options, or at least one of the years, we had like 4 different, calendars to look at. It just troubles me that we've got those 3 half days, and I understand accommodating the secondary students, but, I mean, I would like to see what the drop in attendance for your K through 8th grade was when they came back, and it's half days. It's just, I'm looking more from an efficiency perspective and a cost perspective of running the buses. I realize we still have to those days, but somehow just getting my head around bringing all these people back after a family's been on an extended, weekend, it just seemed inefficient.
And like I said, the board had already approved all those dates. We just changed that.
Right.
So the 3 last days of school for secondary are exam half days. But I think those points are well noted. Coming back after a holiday is probably a little more challenging. We just have to go back in the future when we're looking at that and reduce 3 days somewhere else that we've chosen to be off.
And not for this year? Not for this calendar?
Well, not unless the board says go back and redo. But this one, we're just changing for next year, the time offering of spring break. It's not a complete revision of the calendar.
Thank you.
Okay, any further comments? Board Member Kennedy. Thank you.
Excuse me, Dr. Hopes, if memory serves, the last time we had the full-blown calendar discussion, we approved 2 school years in a row, whereas before we had done it every summer. I would suggest that we can get started on this right now, because we are entering into, well, people have made plans by now for spring break. I'm not suggesting we move spring break or move Christmas or Thanksgiving, but I agree with you, and I think teachers and staff and parents would probably agree too, that if we could not just maximize efficiency, but also have it make sense, for lack of a better term. And part of this is negotiations, and hopefully we're entering into that, if not already, for 1920. So it would be,
Yeah, we can go ahead and start early for the planning of the following calendar with the committee and take all those into account.
So your, I'm sorry, Mr.
Okay, Board Member Golden.
So your recommendation is that we adopt this calendar?
Yes, sir, for the upcoming school year, but then go ahead and we can begin early on defining the following year with those points taken to figure out to end however we choose to end before the holiday.
Okay, Vice Chair Messenger.
I just, point of clarification, we've already adopted this calendar. This is already our calendar. This is only a revision to change one early release day and move it to a different date.
Right.
This is
'Cause
not
of-
to adopt the entire calendar. This is not to change anything other than one early release day and changing when it occurs. That
Because
is the
of
only
testing.
revision right now that's coming before us. This is not adopting a new calendar. This is just revising the calendar. You have well-pointed points. I'm not disagreeing with what you said. I'm just saying that that's not what's right before us right now.
It's just a revision.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, Board Member
Yeah,
Golden.
and I realize it's an amendment for that. It's just, I think having come off of the Memorial Weekend holiday and seeing that other districts didn't bring their students back, but we were, it just made a reality check. And so I'm satisfied with the superintendent's, offer to get started earlier with regards to the school calendar so that we can look at perhaps having a more reasonable calendar. I'm not a parent anymore, doesn't affect my holiday, but if I were a parent, I don't think I would want to drag the children back from the beach to go to 3 half days after Memorial Weekend. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to vote.
Okay, okay, thank you all. The chair, whoa.
I thought Rev had his hand up.
No.
Oh, okay.
Call the question.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, can I take 10 seconds, please?
the chair recognizes Board Member Kennedy.
Thank you, sir. Pat, I just want to be, if I misspoke, I want to be really clear. I'm talking about the calendar for 2021, not,
Yeah, I just think people need to understand that changing teacher days does not help you with the student day problem. Because the students are already not in school on the teacher days.
Okay,
So changing
Yeah.
teacher days does not help you get students back in school on a different day.
no, my,
So you understand, the record days are not the issue.
but if we turn record days into, if we get rid of record days and make them student class days, that's what I'm referring to.
okay, let's address our comments to the chair. Thank you very much. Okay. What?
He asked you if he could ask.
Okay, yeah, chair calls the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. This well-discussed matter is approved unanimously. Okay. The next item is approval of a new job description and position of coordinator, mental health / social emotional. Does the superintendent have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of a new job description and position of coordinator, mental health, social emotional learning.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the superintendent's recommendation's been moved by Board Member Kennedy, seconded by Vice Chair Messenger. Is there discussion? Chair hearing none. Call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. It carries unanimously. Next thing is approval of a new job description and position of groundskeeper. Does the superintendent have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the new job description and position of groundskeeper.
So moved.
It's been moved by Board Member Kennedy to approve the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's seconded by Vice Chair Messenger. Is there discussion? The chair hearing none, the chair will call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. It passes unanimously. Next item, item number 6, is approval of a new job description and position of speech and language pathologist education center. Does the superintendent have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend the approval of the new job description and position, speech and language pathologist evaluation center.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Board Member Hopes. It's been seconded by Board Member Kennedy. Is there discussion? The chair hearing none, the chair will call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It carries unanimously 5-0. The next item is approval of a new job description and position of early learning specialist compliance. Does the superintendent have a recommendation?
Yes, I recommend, oops, I've lost it. The position of early learning specialist and compliance position.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the superintendent's recommendation has been moved by Board Member Hopes and seconded by Board Member Kennedy. Is there discussion? The chair hears none, calls the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay? Okay. Okay, it's approved unanimously. Next item is item number 8, approval of firm for internal audit services. This is a board thing, I guess, and this is, do we have anybody to speak about this?
I move for the approval of the firm for internal audit services, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Did the superintendent give the recommendation yet?
It's listed for board authority instead of superintendent.
And that'd be Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, Mr. Chairman.
okay. Okay, we're not approving a contract with this. We're approving a recommendation, from the audit committee for us to hire it. I think it might be more properly said that we're approving, subject to, contract agreement with, this firm to be selected for our internal audit services.
The exact motion, Mr. Chairman, is I move the approval of Carr, Riggs, and Ingram LLC to provide internal audit services for fiscal year 2019-2020 and to draft a letter of engagement, Mr. Chairman.
I still second that.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We have discussion, Board Member Golden.
And I may be wrong in my memory, but I thought that this item was pulled from a previous agenda because the recommendation that needed to come from the audit committee did not come in its proper form, that they were supposed to interview all of the people who applied, and then as a consequence of those interviews, they were to make a recommendation to us. Now,
They did and they have.
Okay.
I'm looking at the executive summary here.
Okay.
And the reason I'm looking at it is because the only name that I see is Carr, Riggs, and Ingram. So am I?
Paragraph 2.
Okay, the chair will comment on that. I think that what Board Member Golden is saying is absolutely correct, that it was, felt that the audit committee would interview another firm. They have recommended that this board hire CRI to be the internal audit, subject to an agreed letter of engagement, and which would come before the board, I guess maybe at the next meeting or shortly, for consideration. And that's my understanding of where we stand on this issue. I don't see any negative from the audience. Yeah, or Vice Chair Messenger.
They did interview both companies. I went to the interview with the competing company and listened to that interview. So I can affirm that they did actually have that interview.
Okay. The audit committee carried out, our request. I think, okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Just for clarification, it's not a request. It's in our policy.
In our policy. They conform to our policy for how to do this. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for pointing that out. And Board Member Golden, thank you for bringing that up. I think we do have a motion by Board Member Hopes to approve this item number 8. And I think it's been seconded by Vice Chair Messenger. No, by Board Member Kennedy. Is there further discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Vice Chair Messenger.
That's why I had my hand up. Sorry.
Okay.
Like I said, I went to the evaluation meeting when they heard from the other company, and to be quite honest, I don't know that company. But I found it very valuable to go and hear. After that interview, they discussed both companies and came upon this recommendation, and I found that to be very beneficial. A lot of what was said in that meeting resounded with me in the concerns with both companies. And at the end, it was there was 5 audit committee members there. 4 of them voted in favor with, I think, considerable concessions and concerns that I share. With that, I don't know if I can really vote in favor of this because of the concerns that were shared. And I share those same concerns, and I've had those same concerns with who was hired by the current company, and that we could be giving another year contract to in the past, and some of the work that's been done. And like I said, I don't know this other company, but for me, it would be difficult for me to go forward with this with all the concerns that I have. So I believe I'll vote no tonight, and I believe that we really instead should be putting out another RFQ and really reevaluating. This is really, we don't get to hire very many people. This is one of the ones that, is really on us, and I think should not be taken lighthearted. The fact that it was decided prior to interviews and then once again decided after the interviews, that alone is concerning to me. And my understanding of the rating system was that neither one of them ranked especially high. And that concerns me because I want somebody that will rank in a positive fashion for us and represent the school district of Manatee County, help the school district of Manatee County through these things. So that would be my request. I think, that would be more beneficial to us. So that's I just want to put that out, that's where I stand. I don't believe this is the right way to go. And I think there are other ways that we could do this.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair Messenger.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, Chair recognizes Board Member Hope.
Yeah, I think members, what's important to take into account, first and foremost, the audit committee are experts in this area. Normally these contracts I think are like 2 years. It would have been a 2-year extension. This is only a 1-year extension. We're in a transition phase, as we have discussed in workshops, to begin bringing in-house internal audit resources. And for that reason, it's important both from an efficiency perspective and effective perspective to continue with the current auditor that has the institutional knowledge to help identify those functions which can easily be transitioned in-house, and then we'll take this up at another time. With everything that we have going on, and in addition to the Auditor General doing our financial audit this year, rather than our outside auditors, it's even that it's more important than ever to maintain that continuity. We're coming off of some pretty challenging times. This internal auditor has had to defend us before IRS, before the FRS system. We still have an accounting system that's not yet up to par. So, you know, having worked in now, I guess, a Big Four firm, Ernst & Young and Ernst & Winnie, I understand the internal challenges of this. And, you know, with hope next year, once we have our own expert in-house, coordinating the internal audit function, then we can look at putting out another RFP. I ask your support for this one-year agreement. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Board Member Hope. Further comments? Okay, yes, Board Member Kennedy.
Thank you. I hadn't really, honestly, didn't really see this as a speed bump at all, but Gene, anytime you've got reservations, that kind of gives me pause, because I have a lot of respect for the way you work, and if you have concerns, it gives me concerns, even though I don't know specifically what they are. But at the same point, I think Dr. Host makes a lot of good points about continuity and institutional knowledge. I keep wanting to say Shinning Company, but Carr Riggin, CRI has been with us for quite a few years now. I also am curious if we put this out to RFQ, got enough lawyers up here, and Mr. Dye, by statute, do we have to have internal audit in place July 1? I believe so. I don't even if we did do a new RFQ, I don't believe we could get somebody in place in time. So I'm going to vote yes on this, but Gina, you are heard. I'll put it that way.
Vice Chair Messenger.
I just want to respond. That was one of the arguments the audit committee made when they discussed this, that they believed in the continuity and they thought that was an important thing. However, there was one dissenting audit committee member who literally was reading my mind. And I think she left, but she was reading my mind. That to me is not an argument, because keeping an even keel when isn't. If you were keeping an even keel and continuity up at the top, cool. But if you're keeping an even keel and it's not, what's the point? That's my only point about continuity. And I don't feel like that's a fair argument. And I hear that argument, I just don't think that's a fair argument. And I think that the argument of another internal auditor, one of the things that they talked about, the other company, and like I said, I don't know this other company, but one of the things that the other company talked about was that they actually helped create internal auditing in other businesses and school districts. I don't know that company. I'm not trying to have an argument with you. I see your face, I know your face real well, and I know you're about to say something, and that's fine. You can say whatever you'd like. But what I'm telling you is, if we have an opportunity to improve our services, I think we should try to do it. That is all I'm saying.
Okay, Board Member Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this began when Carr, Riggs, and Ingram were presented on recommendation from the audit committee without having interviewed all of the applicants, without dealing with what motivated them to do that. I usually try to take people at their face value. They bought it in good faith. We sent it back in good faith to ask them to consider what the outcome should be when they evaluated everybody. They did that. As far as I know, only one of us was present at the interviews. And I'm just interested in knowing in the face of the recommendation by the audit committee, with your being present, I would just, I'll give up my minute to hear what is your basis, not that you don't think that somebody else's argument is valid. I'd just like to hear what your argument is for not making a decision tonight before I say what
I'm willing to make a decision tonight. I'm going to vote no. That's my decision.
I'm sorry, I didn't articulate it quite right. I'd like to know why.
Okay, I really didn't want to necessarily get into specifics here, because this is, but I guess there's never any other time we can really discuss it. There were several things that were brought up during that interview, and during the audit committee, that they shared a lot of concerns of things that have been going on, and that they wanted to make sure that those things are addressed. And I think that, for me, the best way to make sure those things are addressed is to perhaps try to find a different company. And that's really what that comes from for me. Now, they don't agree with me, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with me either. No hard feelings. It doesn't ever hurt my feelings. But when I was there and I heard from, like I said, the dissenting committee member and how she felt, a lot of what she said is exactly how I felt, which came from the fact that, yes, there was a lot of concerns that have happened over the last year with our current internal auditing company, and they came from, if you want specifics, they came from the amount we were billed for certain people, and it came from who was placed in certain positions and their expertise and whether they had the proper expertise or not. And those were just some of the concerns that were brought up. And for me, if we're going to put this very large contract, one of the very few things that we have direct control over, I believe that we should do our very best to make sure that we have the best company in place. And with all of the concerns that were brought up, which I have heard those concerns before, and those were valid concerns, I think that we should make sure that those are addressed. And to me, the best way to make sure they're addressed is to go back out for bid. And if that's not possible at this point, then that's not possible at this point. I still plan to vote no.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Chair.
next, I'm sorry, Board Member Board Member Copes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to bring up an important point. Is quite frankly, this is a different company. When Shin and Company merged with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, Carr, Riggs, and Ingram is a large, if not one of the largest firms in the Southeast United States. It brings a wealth of additional resources. We, with this contract, will have a full year of a much larger firm and staffing. Those of us that have been working with the audit committee have seen some of the new talent that have been brought in. They have far broader expertise in this area, and the audit committee was right in looking in the totality of where this district is. And so you bring up a very good point. This is a new company. I've met some of the new partners when they've come in to meet with the audit chair and with me when I was chairman. And so I probably wouldn't be having this conversation if it were still just Shin and Company, because I think the needs that the district have exceed what perhaps we had before. But with the merger with a very, very large and diverse firm in the Southeast, and Southeast, I mean, it goes all the way to Tennessee. It's a very different auditor that's serving our needs. Also at a time when state statutes are changing, I think July 1st, which puts even more demands on it. So with that, again, I ask my members to support this this motion. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Call the question.
Okay,
My remarks.
mi-
because I-
okay, the chair recognizes Board Member Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay. The reason I asked for the specifics is because I don't, all of us got feelings and all of us got attitudes and perspectives, but I try to make these kind of decisions based on the facts. And as I understand what you've said, that you disagree with some of the billing from last year. That was the first thing. And secondly, you disagree with some of the hiring decisions that were made. That was the second thing. And the third thing, I think was a variation on that. You articulated that there were some people in positions that were not necessarily qualified to be in the positions that they were in. Now, if I misstated what you said, that, okay, all right, I thought so. So, having said all of that, I guess at this point, we have before us now, and this is the first time we've had an opportunity to discuss it, a recommendation that we approve a firm that the superintendent will make a recommendation about.
The board's audit committee.
Yeah, the board's audit committee. That and I'm a little concerned that that we would have an audit committee for as long as we've had this audit committee, and then unilaterally just disregard their recommendation. Because, and admittedly, I was not there. I don't know what Vice Chair Messenger heard. I don't know what moved her. But I'm just not quite so sure that that's any way to run a railroad. That, and I'm not rubber stamping anything here. I just wonder how much of this is subjective and how much is objective. And so I think I would like to take advantage of the good part that we do have, as opposed to being afraid of this unknown thing that we don't have and what will happen next week or next month, because as Mr. Hopes has pointed out, 1 year from now, we can still fire them. That's kind of about where I am. And thank you for being kind enough to express that openly, so that if they are selected by a majority vote, they know what we'll be looking at. I'll be looking at the billing, and I'll be looking at the hiring, because those are the things that you brought up, and I think they're very valid.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Golden. Board Member Kennedy.
Mr. Chair, I would request of you that we allow Dr. Russo, the chair of the audit committee, to step forward.
We may do that. I have a question. There was something brought up about July 1, that what happens, the carriage turn into a pumpkin, or what happens?
That's the start of our fiscal year.
Well, I've heard that's to be true, but what does that have to do with this decision that's before us right now?
May I?
Statutorily.
No, Mr. Chair?
Okay.
I'll answer that.
Oh, okay, I'm asking, and I'm going to ask legal, what?
Superintendent.
Okay, I appreciate all the suggestions. Does the chariot turn into a pumpkin on July 1 if we don't approve this tonight?
The new statute requires us to have an internal auditor by July 1. They don't specify how you do it, but you do have to have an internal auditor by July 1.
Okay. Now, if we don't do anything, what does our present contract say? That the pumpkin turns into a pumpkin?
I believe that the state would turn us into a pumpkin.
Okay, I'm going to ask legal. What does the contract say? Does it say no services from the internal auditor at the strike of 12 on June 30th, 2019?
Mr. Chair, I would have to look at the contract to answer that question, which I don't have. I would suggest that if this turns into an extended time frame to look into these issues, that if necessary, the current contract could be extended for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I would also suggest that if the current internal auditor doesn't want to operate under those circumstances, that may affect how the board sees them when it comes time to make a permanent decision. So I don't know that would absolutely keep you from operating with the current auditor while you work through these issues.
Thank you. Okay. Now, I think that the chair of the audit committee has decided that the board is going to ask her to come up here. I wish you'd wait. Who?
I asked her to come.
I think you are out of order, sir.
Sorry,
I'm out of.
my apologies. May I speak?
If you have something to share with us, please proceed.
Thank you. I think I can answer most of your questions, and I respect what you were saying here and take it very seriously. To give you a quick picture of the entire process, when we put out the RFP, there were 2 responses, and that's all you received. We reviewed independently both proposals. We had a meeting in which all of our members, 6 of our members were present. Mr. Blitzko was by phone, so we all participated in that meeting. Every member of the audit committee rated the written proposal for CRI higher than the proposal from the other company. Our ratings were all over the place. We had excellence. The other company got a couple of fares. There were adequates, but relatively speaking, every one of us picked CRI higher. So that was one of the factors that went into our decision. We did have a concern. The district had raised with us a concern about the billing being at the higher level because it's Mr. Shin who is involved in a lot of that direct work, and we have spoken with Mr. Shin about getting people and kind of balancing that out. The one major concern we had to do with the staffing issue because we wanted them to broaden and involve other staff members with other levels of expertise. That is our one concern, and we have spoken with him, and Mr. Shin has already identified staff for us who would, I think, address our concern.
What does that mean?
I'm sorry, you're out of order.
I'm sorry, I apologize, but.
We are looking for people who have expertise. For example, right now, there is a capital audit going on. There's an expert from CRI in that area who does audits only in that area who is working on this audit. So he's bringing in more people with different levels of expertise so that they can specialize on particular audits, and that's one of the benefits of him having joined with another company. When we interviewed both companies, we had not intended to interview both companies. We were alerted of a statute and that we had to do both companies, not just the one. So we conducted what I believe were very fair, very detailed interviews with both companies, gave both companies a very accurate and very fair shot to represent what they could do for us. Again, in that discussion, there were a lot of concerns raised about the second company because they did not address several of our questions and several of our issues. We did talk with them about the in-house internal auditor. Our concern is they never discussed that with us up front in their proposal. And what we kept hearing from them in their response to us was, we've done this in other places, but they have told us in the other places what to do, as opposed to we're looking for someone to mentor an in-house internal auditor here as we build this transition into that function. And so as we weighed, without going into all the details, as we weighed the pros and cons, in our initial vote at that meeting with the interview, 4 of the 5 of us who were involved in the interview came out in favor of CRI. 1 did push for the other company, again, because of their staffing. After the interview, the audit committee convened as a meeting. And we had an official audit committee meeting, and we talked through this again, and we talked through both companies, the pros and cons of both companies. We took a vote, all 5 of us, a consensus, or under the new charter, it would be a 5-0 vote to bring a recommendation to you to continue to have a contract with CRI for 1 year. We recognize doing that because you do have to have an internal audit firm or an internal auditor on the first. We have 2-3 weeks to get that done. There are audits going on right now that will continue into the summer. We don't want those to stop. If we don't proceed, you will take months to even get perhaps other companies to apply, if other companies will apply. The continuity, the long-term memory of this particular company in the work that it does, we will lose all of that. And we think those things are all much more important than the issue we do have, which we believed as a committee in that discussion, CRI was already addressing. We will monitor to make sure it is addressed. You will be very confident in their audits. And I think that's where we as a committee came down. We are confident in this recommendation, but I did want you to know it is a consensus recommendation. We all agreed on it. And that's what we brought before you tonight.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
what I have on the screen in front of me, it says approval of Carr Riggs and Ingram LLC to provide internal audit services for fiscal year 2019-2020 and to draft a letter of engagement. I think that Board Member Hopes made the motion, okay. Would you consider amending that motion to say, subject to an agreement of a letter of engagement?
I guess it's just semantics, because I think that's what it implies. I mean, the agreement will have to come to the board for approval of the agreement.
Well, it has to be approved by CRI too.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I'm saying, subject to an agreement on a letter of engagement. It's subject to.
Okay, I will amend my motion of the approval of Carr Riggs and Ingram LLC to provide internal audit services for fiscal year 2019 to 2020, subject to a letter agreement?
Approval of a.
Approval of a letter agreement.
Subject to approval of agreement. Now, I forget who seconded the motion.
Mr. Kennedy.
Does the Board Member Kennedy agree to seconding that motion?
I second the motion to amend, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Well, mine was a motion to amend my motion.
Okay.
And he seconds it.
Okay. Now, I need a little help with the procedure here, but Council, can we vote on to approve his amending that motion, or do we have to do that?
Well,
I don't think you have to do that.
well, let me ask you this, Mr. Chairman, because this is, I think we had a hiccup in the procedure at the last meeting in a similar situation. If the motion that was just made was a motion to amend the first motion, then we have to vote on the motion to amend.
Okay. So, and then we
Then we
vote on that. Okay. So there's a pending pending before the board, a motion to amend, a motion that, and both the mover and the seconder have endorsed making this amendment as stated. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I think that's unanimous for allowing an amended motion to come before the board. Okay. Now, that being said, I personally feel that a great weight needs to be given to our audit committee. I think a great deal of respect and thanks are due to our vice chair.
Point of order, Mr.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay,
These are
we're-
comments leading into the motion we still have.
Yeah, that's right. I've tried to let everybody talk, but I'm just kind of giving my thoughts about this. I think that we have a time crunch here. July 1, I'm told that we're supposed to have an internal auditor in place. Now, I don't know the law, and maybe our council can speak up about, well, what does it take to have an internal auditor? I mean, if we don't have anyone, we can get together and appoint Norm or something like that. You are our internal auditor until we appoint somebody else, and we're not going to pay you, but you're going to be our internal auditor. Thank you very much for agreeing to those services, and we might even have you sign something. But what is really necessary for a district to be in compliance with this law? I'm asking our board attorney.
Mr. Chair, excuse me, I don't have the amended statute. The older statute, which I think is just a minor amendment, what the legislature did this year, you have to have an internal auditor that is qualified to perform ongoing financial verification of the financial records of the school district.
Okay.
So it's a matter of qualification.
Okay, I'm sure that Norm is very qualified, and there might be someone else. It doesn't have to be a one-day contract, a one-week contract, a one-month contract, or a one-year contract. We have to have someone that holds the title of internal auditor that we happen to believe for that period of time, be it 1 day, 1 hour, 1 week, could perform those duties. That's basically it.
Well, my recommendation, I don't know about 1 hour, 1 week, but my recommendation would be to have an internal auditor in some kind of an agreement to be able to perform auditing services for a sufficient amount of time so that those services are being able to be performed as the district proceeds.
Okay, what I don't like is being held over the board, or over the barrel, or that we got to do something, in a period of time, and we would otherwise be in violation of the law. And I don't know how definitive the law is, and that was the reason for my inquiry. I have a lot of respect for our current auditors. I think that to come up with a draft agreement, there should be a workshop. And I think we ought to have that workshop a week from today. I would like to hear at that workshop more specific concerns, from our vice chair. And that those feelings could be considered as in the letter of engagement. It's not just, sign here. There are concerns that our vice chair, who I respect very much, and is the only one of us who is there to hear these kind of dissenting views, and I think all board members should hear them, and then decide how that might fit into a proper letter of engagement between CRI and the district, and hopefully we would have something if we, as a board, decided, okay, this is a good thing for the district. We think it's a fair deal for CRI. That CRI would say, sure, there's some changes in here we're not thrilled with, but we think it's fair, and we go ahead. And but I don't think that we should be considered a rubber stamp. I don't think they intend that of the audit committee. We thank them. They work very hard. They're highly qualified. But I think we ought to have a board workshop, to hear all concerns. Audit committee chair, could be there too. You can only have one audit member there to speak, of course, because of sunshine. But I think there ought to be some discussion about the concerns and review of the present contract and how that might be amended if necessary to maybe address concerns that might be deemed appropriate after hearing what the vice chair has to say to us. That's my feeling about it, and I support this motion that Mr. Hopes has made. I will vote for it, but I think that before we have that have something to present to them, all board members should be involved in a workshop to hear what's going on, and we'd like to do this before the next meeting, because after the next meeting we don't have any meeting before July 1, and we'd like to keep Norm out of business of being our internal auditor. That's where I'm coming from.
Mr. Chairman, we do have a workshop scheduled for the 25th of this month, which would allow adequate time for you to negotiate an agreement and then workshop it.
Okay. I don't want a situation where the chair, as well as I appreciate that confidence, says, okay, I've had the honor of talking with CRI, and they think this is a fair deal, and my dear friends on the board, I think that we ought to endorse this and put it on the agenda for the meeting later on that day. I would like there to be discussion at a workshop hearing before discussions with CRI about what the board as a whole feels like is a fair and appropriate under all the circumstances. Have that input. Vice Chair Messenger.
I have stated my concerns. I don't feel like there needs to be a workshop on it. I think the audit committee had a lot of the similar concerns, and they said those things, and that's why I'm reiterating them while I'm sitting up here, because I feel like we should all be on the same page about those concerns. This is that conversation right now for me.
Okay.
I don't feel like I need it in another place. I feel like this was the place that I needed to have it, then this was the place that I had it. As I said, I already plan to vote no. If you plan to vote yes, that's fine. I think we can talk about whatever the contract's going to say. I'm fine with that. But I know that if the law is saying we need to have this in place, and it seems like the board will is to vote in favor of it, then we need to make sure that it's in place at the right time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Board Member Golden.
Mr. Chair, call the question.
Okay, I still have some things to say, and also the superintendent has something to say, so.
I just want to let you know that Ms. Boyce will be forwarding you the law. It's Senate Bill 7014, so you have the exact language. In addition, there's an audit committee meeting tomorrow, so I'm sure any of you guys are welcome to be there. I'm sure this will be a topic of discussion, and I'm sure they welcome you to come. I know if more than one's there, you can't maybe speak because of sunshine situations, but at least you can hear the conversation and the topic. So I wanted to let you know there is an audit meeting tomorrow, and I am sending you the statutory language, so you'll have that.
Thank you, Superintendent. Okay, I have a couple comments. You know, I'm supposed to be a couple other places tomorrow, including up in Tampa right now.
Right.
And also, and I got a board meeting of the Education Foundation tomorrow. I don't know how I work that out, but somehow I will. But the reason I wanted, you know, a workshop where board members in the sunshine together, you know, could ask questions, have a dialogue with Vice Chair Messenger, more specificity about how, and have her input about a proposed contract. That's in the sunshine. Right now, I know we're in the sunshine. I don't want to belabor that right now, but that's why I proposed a workshop, you know, a week from today. I think I have encountered universal thumbs down for having a workshop, even though we always have a good time. So, okay, so much for that, and I guess we're back to kind of Mr. Hope's
Amended
idea.
motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, that I'm going to get together with CRI, come together with what I think might be addressing concerns and would be considered fair by CRI, and bring it together, I guess, at a workshop on the 25th, and then present it at the meeting on the 25th if an agreement could be reached with CRI. I think that's kind of the unanimous feeling of the board. Okay. All right. So all that being said, I think that I thought I heard Board Member Golden said, call the question.
I did.
Okay. See my hearing isn't that bad. All those in favor of Board Member Hope's motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, indicate by nay.
Nay.
Okay, the motion passes 4-1. The Vice Chair Messenger was the nay vote, and we'll move on to, where are we? Okay, item number 9, approval of revised audit committee and citizens finance. Well, we've already pulled all that. Number 10, approval of design for access roadway at Barbara A. Harvey Elementary. Those of you who were at our workshop this afternoon, we had a very productive workshop on this, and there has been proposed a roadway on the east, on property being transferred, to the Neals. That's how it, in accordance with excuse me.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I move that we approve the design for the access roadway as with the language changes that the chair has worked out with staff, which was discussed in the workshop.
Okay.
For the Barbara Harvey Elementary entrance.
Okay.
That's my motion.
You need a recommendation from the superintendent first.
thought it was a board item,
It is.
so I don't make the recommendation.
I apologize, this somehow got lost in my paper shuffle here.
We're,
That should be you.
I think I do on this one. Isn't that one mine? The road?
Doesn't say so, but you can go ahead and make the recommendation.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Go
It's
ahead.
listed board, but I think it's mine.
Somehow I ate my agreement.
It's coming up to the staff, so.
Right.
Oh, no, that's not your agreement on that application.
Is-
Okay, we're doing a little,
I recommend, you want me to do the recommendation?
okay, can you wait just a
Yes,
minute?
sir.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Board Member Hopes. Those of you who have attended our meetings and watched it will recall that at its last meeting, this board approved a development agreement with Neil. Neil being the shorthand for the companies that are involved with property owned to the east of our Harvey Elementary School. And there's been a communal desire to have a roadway on the east side of our property or to the east of our property, primarily for buses, but at least it goes down the east side to provide another access, secondary access to our school. And there was passed by this board at the last meeting a development agreement which included language that said it was subject to approval by the school district, and this was a development agreement between Moccasin Wallow Associates LLC and the school board of Manatee County. And we have been provided earlier this afternoon this Stantec plans for this roadway. And there was some very positive discussion involving staff and Representative John Neal of Neal, and about modifying what was in this Stantec plan. And they agreed to it, and to formalize this, the superintendent's going to make a recommendation which has been agreed to by Neil. This isn't, they're all for it. And I think the superintendent can proceed with about this Stantec plan and with the changes that have been agreed to.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the review of the Stantec design for access roadway at Barbara A. Harvey Elementary School.
And Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the design for the access roadway with the 5 conditions that have been distributed to the board members, which I will call Exhibit 1, which specifically page 1, changing zoning to PDR in Note 3, change total project boundary to .42 acres in Note 4, change Note 8 to say development shall commence in June 2019 and continue through August 9th, 2019. And on page 3, the additional note says, in addition to an access point from the property to the south end of the roadway from the property to the east, Neil shall have no more than 1 additional point for vehicular traffic to the east within the .42 acre parcel. That is my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Chair hears none. We'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Unanimously approved. Congratulations. This is a significant step forward. It's taking into consideration the safety of our children on that roadway. And that's due to a lot of effort, and I think the Neils ought to be thanked for adding that in there to limit access to this roadway where a lot of children are going to be coming down. And that's really stepping up to the plate, I think, John and Pat and all those involved, and Mike. Okay, let's see, where are we? Workshop items. Okay. I know one that's been already knocked down here. Okay, Board Member Hobbs.
Mr. Chairman, I would request a workshop with the superintendent and staff. I became aware that the University of University of South Florida, Sarasota Manatee, has a grant from I think it's a foundation or philanthropist of nearly $300,000 a year that can only be utilized by Manatee County teachers to earn advanced degrees. And I would like a workshop to discuss how the school district can provide a match so that our educators are able to take advantage of this considerable funding to earn advanced degrees at USF Sarasota Manatee, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other suggestions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Board Member, or excuse me, Vice Chair Messenger.
Call me whatever.
Okay, hi forever, okay.
That works.
Okay.
After our workshop this morning, or I guess this afternoon, about the educational law changes, it really became evident that session starting earlier, like it's going to, that maybe we should make sure that we have a platform created relatively early, because it sounded like committee started in September, I think they said. So I was wondering if there was some point in the next few months, and it's not right now because like we said, things could still be vetoed. So things aren't set in stone yet, but at some point in the next few months, could we have a conversation about a platform going forward?
All right, thanks. Any other ideas for now? Okay, I think those are both great, and superintendent's taking note of that. I think, certainly by early August or so, we ought to be thrashing this out. And because they're meeting in September, we need to meet with them and have it. I think that I think most of us are going to be going up to Tampa, telling the community. We have a Florida Association School Board meeting up in Tampa for 3 days, or I guess, 3 days. Okay, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, about issues of public education for Manatee County as well as the rest of the state. And is there any other ideas on that? Otherwise, let's go to legal update. Let's see.
None for me, Mr.
Okay. Instructional update, Madam Superintendent.
Yes, summer is off to a great start. Summer is our busiest time. So, we are hitting the ground running. With our improvement in third grade reading scores, we will see a reduced number of mandated third graders that have to attend summer camp. So that is always a positive thing. We certainly want to also thank our community support that's helping with our reading endeavors. We have the Horns would dive into reading, helping with the summer, as well as United Way and many other community members. The county government has given us a grant to have aftercare at Samoset. So it's just amazing how many community members really are helping in these initiatives. So we're excited about the outcomes that we're going to see this summer. In addition, we have had 2 job fairs this year for hiring. So I certainly want to commend our HR department for conducting that. As of today, we only have 34 teacher vacancies. And going into June, that is a remarkable number, I can tell you. And that's because of a lot of initiatives. I think the millage has really played a part. Going out and organizing these job fairs early has played a part. We've done a lot in recruiting, so it's not one thing, it's a multitude of things. But we certainly are looking for more people out there that want to be part of our great team and impacting the lives of students. So we do have openings, but it's nowhere near what it has been in the past. So we're very grateful for that. Mr. Minor has already indicated that we do have FADS and FSBA training the next 3 days, so there'll be a number of us up in Tampa meeting with other districts and a Department of Education. In addition, some of the IT members and myself will be presenting at a tech conference in Orlando Thursday, so I'll be in Tampa and then going to Orlando to be on a panel to discuss our platform and what we've done with our Samsung panels. You've seen that demonstration, but they are highlighting some of the initiatives in Manatee County. So there's going to be an information panel that a number of us are going to be on Thursday. And, you know, another thing I'm excited, this will be the first initiative we've done since I've been here, but we're having a training Monday with our instructional and operational departments to collaborate and come together where we have a vision going into the next year. So it's for our directors and above. And our focus this next year is going to be on customer service and making sure that we improve our communication so that we can work towards improving our academic success. So we've got a lot going on this summer. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Operational update, Deputy Superintendent Wagner.
Very good. Thank you, Chair Minor. So I have 7 items tonight. First, under old business, we had the approval adoption of new policies, amendments to current school board policies, and that actually was brought to us. I want to give credit to 2 of our ag teachers, Mr. Buckley at Southeast High School and Mr. Heavner at Braden River High School. They pointed out a question in parliamentary procedure, so I appreciate that. You know, FFA is one of our career and technical student organizations, and they teach that along with others about parliamentary procedure to our students. So our students are getting an education on that while they're participating in middle school and high school. Number 2, I wanted to also expand on the superintendent's remarks about the job fairs. You know, we had 148 participants attend on Saturday. We had 20 offers made on site, and we'll have more offers made this week as they continue to vet the people who were and interview the people who were at the job fair. We had 16 elementary schools, 7 middle schools, 4 high schools show up and conduct interviews. MTC hosted it. And, you know, next year we've already booked the sites at MTC to have both job fairs at MTC. It's a great location to have that. So thank you, Personnel Department. Transportation Department, we've ordered the new technology to allow scanning. We talked about that at the workshop, scanning the students who come on the buses. So we'll know when they are on the bus, and also we can have more accurate reporting to the state. So I want to thank the Transportation Department. Food service, at our last board meeting, we talked about how we're providing free meals to our community through 70 different sites. So we won't go through these stats every time, but just to give you an update on how we're doing. So the first week, it just started, we served 19,866 meals at our community and school sites, and our mobile units served almost 4,000. So we served almost 24,000 meals this week alone here in Manatee County to our students. Number 5, construction services. We have 3 new schools. As you know, they're on track. The exciting news for that is we have the certificate of occupancy. Monday we received it for the elementary school, many of them for the high school, many of the buildings for the high school today, and the middle school at the end of the week. So we'll be left with the punch list. The FF&E starts coming in next week. We have 62 days till school starts. We are ahead of schedule and under budget. The final construction manager change order will show how much money we are giving back from the project, but we're very excited about our construction team and keeping those schools on track. And number 6, the last one, we're working on the computer refresh this summer. So we have 6,000 computers being deployed to our schools this summer. The order had to be placed. The computers come into the warehouse. They have to be imaged, tagged, deployed to the schools, set up. All of that happens before school starts. 6,000 is a large number. And that's a few examples of the operations teams working hard to support our school system.
Okay, thank you very much for an excellent report. Okay. I guess, superintendent remarks.
I did them both.
Okay, you're done. Okay. Board Member Hopes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to commend you on a great workshop and meeting. We did the people's work today, and we're actually going to get out of here before 8 o'clock. I look forward to spending time with our colleagues in Tampa, including the superintendents around the state. And I'm confident we'll come back with some new knowledge and additional updates on what the legislature and the budget means to us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board Member Kennedy?
Thank you. A really quick one. I just want to take a second to thank the superintendent and her team, Doug and everybody who's here in the room. But really, also, Cindy hit the nail on the head. It's summertime. People think, oh, school's out, nobody's working. But really, there is more work going on in this building and around the district now than there is during the school year. And so, as Mr. Eichenberg said, I just wanted to take a second and just get on the record my appreciation. I think this board's appreciation for the people at the school level. We've got 3,500 teachers and paras, and we've probably got an equal number of support staff who support this district and just kind of work away in anonymity, some of them for decades. And not everybody gets their name on a building, but what they do is important, and I just want to take a moment to reflect on that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Kennedy. Board Member Golden?
I'd like to thank the board and the superintendent and all of the good people that work in the district for the increase in the third grade reading levels that were reported. In the end, all of the rest of the stuff that we do is just dressing, it's icing. The real job is to send children out better than we receive them, to work, to go on to higher education, whatever other pursuit. And it begins with being able to read. And I am just so excited about the possibility of what we can look forward to if we continue on this trajectory. I also want to highlight for those who are not in the workshop this afternoon, the 4 initiatives that we're taking in terms of bringing education to a new level in Manatee County. The schools that we have that are going to become international baccalaureate schools, the schools that we have that are going to become schools of honor, the school that Mr. Kennedy has worked so hard on for about 2 or 3 years to bring to life, community schools, these concepts. This is what's going to make Manatee County great. And all of the other challenges that we face trying to make that happen will pale when we have children that go forth and come back here having earned degrees from Harvard, not just one, but 100. When they go forth having invented a new drone because they learned that it palmed you. Embrace the drone. So I thank you. So I thank you all.
Unless it's in your backyard.
Yeah, unless it's in your backyard. But I just want to thank you all for all of that. And Mr. Chair, I want to thank you for rising to the occasion.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Vice Chair Messenger?
Embrace the drone. That's the
A new motto.
the day. That'll be the headline in the Bradenton Herald.
Yeah, embrace the
School board says, embrace the drone. I really only had one thing to say. I just wanted to, I didn't get to say during the workshop, just say, express my gratitude to the superintendent. When we talk about all those new programs, it's very exciting because of the schools that we're putting those wonderful programs in. And so I just really wanted to thank you and thank you for having the vision and your willingness and your I don't want to say gung ho. I don't know the right word, but your strong leadership to make those things happen. So it's just an exciting time, and that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair Messenger. I want to echo, that theme. The idea that we're in such better position, for teachers, for filling the seats. than we were a year, 2 years ago, is a reflection on, several things. She mentioned about having the millage approved, we have more attractive, financially, but also there's excitement. This is a great place, to work. We're on the make, and, people want to be with the winner, and I think a lot of people are sensing, this is the new number one. Let's get on board. How many districts are doing what we're doing? There aren't. I mean, this is really an exciting place to work academically and otherwise. There's still a lot to do. Everybody on this board appreciates it, but everybody on this board recognizes, and I think the community does, that we're really making a lot of progress. I think tomorrow and this week about, we're being involved in how to get better is real important. Thursday is brought up about FFA. I'm a great believer in that. I think I bragged about my sister-in-law being a dairy princess and all of that good stuff. But one of the things, that is learned in FFA is so much beyond anything to do with the cattle or the pigs and the chickens. And as mentioned about Robert's Rules of Order, but how to, be, better citizens. And along that line, and we had, I think at the last meeting, we had Elaine Mason, here talking. Wow, can she talk? I mean, beautifully. And as Secretary of the State of Florida, FFA. And Thursday afternoon, she is going to be giving a end of her term speech in Disney World. And I'm going to, they've asked me to be there. I'm going to be there representing the district with a lot of pride that she is a product of Manatee schools. Now, I made a mistake the last time when she was here, and Michelle over here is smart enough to know that I made a mistake, and so she sometimes corrects me. And it was an honest mistake. I had heard that our Secretary of Agriculture say it. She said, I graduated from Palmetto High School, and she did. Little did I know, there's another Palmetto High School, and it's down in Dade County. And I talked with somebody else who was there when she said that, and in fact, it's the chair of the Sarasota School Board. I said, didn't you think they graduated from our? Yeah, well, I was wrong. And thank you, Michelle, for getting it right, and I apologize for the mistake, and I'll try to not do that again. So there's a lot going on, a lot of excitement. This is a big week, and thank you very much. And with that, the chair is going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you.